Welcome back to the coverage of the European Championship 2019, where Saturday morning 1,900 players showed up to make this the largest ever European Championship of all time. There's only European Championships. Okay, that might not be that special, but we started on Friday, where we had the 8 most consistent players that over the course of 1 year played hundreds, maybe even thousands, maybe even 10,000s of duels. And they qualified for our top 8 playoff. And the 3 best players in that tournament would go to Worlds. 4 players got knocked out in the first round. They fought for this for an entire year. They lost their match. They were out. The dream of going to Worlds was dead. For the moment. Because they could still go into the main event, and 7 out of those 8 guys did that. Jonas Koschel was a bit too sick. The other 7 said, yes, I'm going to play and I'm going to do this. And can you believe it? 2 of them are still standing. And just to make things even more dramatic, they are not only still standing, they are now going up against each other. Adrian Dursun, Quinsee have a second shot of going to the World Championship. The stakes could not be higher. I've said this a couple of times, but this is the maximum. There's no higher after this. Even the finals is less important to these 2 players than this match. Let's bring them in and hear from them how they are feeling. In the blue corner, Quinsee from the UK. Give it up.
Hey.
Hey. You got your fans. And I got good news for you. On Friday, every single feature match that we streamed between the 8 of you guys, the guy in the blue seat was winning. How are you feeling about that?
Well, that's just a coincidence, but we'll see how it goes. Still in this. I got a tough opponent. Realistically, I do think we both deserve to go. In the end, I'm glad one of us will. It's a shame we have to play against now, but here we are.
You've been playing in the feature match a million times. What's different between playing in the feature match or playing over there?
Well, there's a lot of people watching, people at home, people here. The spotlights are on us. The stage is warmer. So there's quite a few different factors. However, it's still Yu-Gi-Oh! It's still the same game, and I won't let that affect me.
How are you feeling about the fact that your bracket is ridiculous? You had to knock out Joshua Schmidt, and now you're going up against Adrian?
Well, if I want to go to Worlds, then I need to play against these sort of players. However, it's not being very kind to me, but I can't complain. I'm here, so
you're still here, still in this. Okay, one more. Please have a seat and good luck. His opponent in the red corner, Adrian Dursun from Germany. Hey, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. As you already said, it's my second chance and I will now take it.
You are almost playing the identical deck compared to Friday. Is there anything you changed about your deck?
No, nothing.
So, Joshua Schmidt, for example, said he's playing a deck specifically for the event on Friday. You felt like, okay, it didn't work out on Friday, but this is the cards that I need to win this, right?
Yeah, like I played the whole season this deck, and I'm thinking about I feel most comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking it's the best choice.
And how are you feeling about going up against Jake right now?
It's fine. Like if your target is to go to Worlds, you have to beat everyone. So Jake is a worthy opponent for me.
Yeah. Everybody at Worlds is going to be a player of the caliber of basically you 2 guys. Please also have a seat. Also good luck to you. So normally this is when we do the die roll. We have another second because this is where the crowd comes in, because I want to do a little crowd check and hear from you guys. Who wants to see Quinsee go to the World Championship? All right. Who wants to see Adrian Dursun go to the World Championship? Okay. The crowd might be on his side, but as we said on Friday, the guys in the blue seat were always winning, so this is going to be an interesting one. Let's roll the die to see who goes first. All right, that's a 4 with 2 dice, and that's a bit more.
I'll go second.
Jake won the die roll, but decides to go second. The stage has been set. Couldn't be higher. Let's take it away, Marcello Barbarian, Daniel Neville.
Hello and welcome to the most crucial round of the event, particularly for these players. This is their chance at redemption. They worked incredibly hard the entire year. It didn't work out for them on Friday, but they have got to this decisive match. Whoever wins represents us at the World Championship.
Absolutely, like it doesn't get better than this. We were saying on Friday how at the WCQ there were multiple players that didn't make it on Friday, but still managed to go to the World Championship, which is just ridiculous and just proof that the world point system does work. It is reflecting the best and most consistent players in Europe, just like it did for the USA and Canada. And today, here, again, we have the same chance, not as many, just because they unfortunately have to play against each other.
Exactly.
But at least, as Jake said, one of them is guaranteed to make it, which I also think makes a lot of sense. This guy is putting a lot of work, topping events throughout the whole year. I remember Jake was in the top 8 of last year European Championship as well.
Yeah.
The rules were slightly different because back then only the finalists were invited to the World Championship. Today it is going to be the top 4 because I already talked about this during the last match, but just as a quick reminder, we're getting 7 spots from Europe just because last year Dragon Duel World Champion Charlie is from the US, which means that there will be 7 spots for the USA this year as well, just because he is old enough now. He is not able to play in the Dragon Duel, so he will be allowed to join in the actual main stage, I would say, main World Championship. Anyway, do you think Adrian is actually that confident? As Oliver was saying, it didn't go well for him on Friday, but he stick card by card, same deck list of what he played on Friday.
Yeah, so Adrian is on Sky Striker, and both of these players know what each other are playing. They have been sitting near each other for this event, and like Adrian said, he was quite happy to say, hey look, I'm on the exact same deck in front of Jake. Obviously Striker did not seem to be the right choice for that tournament, but clearly he had been testing it a lot, he's been playing it a lot. He won the largest regional in Europe with over 600 players in Cologne with this deck. He is confident with Striker, he is comfortable on it, and he definitely can go far with this.
I think it does make a lot more sense when you play it for the main event. It is a deck that's very consistent, and it can get you through all those rounds. Anyway, outside of these 2 huge players, which we have seen previously, so you guys should already know that Adrian Dursun from Germany is on Sky Striker, while Jake Quinsee from the UK is on Orcust. We can tell you the breakdown for top 8. So, for decks, we have 3 Salaman Great.
Yep, most represented throughout the tournament, still most represented. We'll see if that changes this round.
Not a surprise. And then we have 5 more, all different decks. So one of each. We have an Altergeist player, the player we saw last round, so the Striker player, which is of course Adrian, the Orcust being Jake, and the last 2 decks are both combo decks. One of them is a Thunder Dragon. The other one, the Crusader, so the Thunderless Thunder Dragon that we have seen yesterday, on Friday, actually.
I think this list is slightly different to Joshua's list from Friday. But yeah, we can see, you know, you have your creature combo decks, which are using monster cards to build big boards. Then you also have things like Striker and Altergeist, which are very focused on their spell and trap cards. And then you also have some of the in-betweens. And it really shows how diverse this format is, that pretty much any strategy is able to top these events.
Absolutely. It is a very, very diverse top 8. A lot more than it was last year, I gotta say.
Yeah, exactly.
And now, as we were talking about the deck breakdown, we also should talk about the countries that are still left. I said at the beginning of Top 64 that I was very proud about my dear Italians. Unfortunately, only one is remaining, but it is a really good one. It's Mirko Zanelli, winner of YCS London, one of the best Italian players at the moment, who is trying to get there with his Thunder Dragon deck. So very good chances to make it.
I mean, we have excellent showing. Germany and France both have 2 players true. So they make up half of the top 8. They were the most represented countries, and at this point, France has caught up with Germany. We will have to see how that progresses further. Of course, Jake is here from the UK, and then we also have 1 player from Sweden and 1 player from Israel, rounding out our top 8.
Yeah, it's a very good top 8. It's a top 8 in which we see national champions, YCS champions, even world competitors that are trying to get there and didn't succeed at the playoff. It is actually gonna be a huge top 8.
I mean, this round is so crucial for all of these players because half of these guys are going to Worlds and the other half are not. And the pressure is just blistering. Like, how do you deal with this when you're in this kind of situation?
It is quite tough. I was there, been there, done that, I can say. And it actually happened for me to do both things. So I was in the top 8 at the European Championship 3 times now. The first being in 2014. I mean, it's okay.
As okay. You do.
Yeah, in 2014, it was the first time. I unfortunately lost, and it was heartbreaking, I gotta say. It was probably the lowest point of my career, but then I recovered, and karma does go back, so you get better, and then when it happened, it is just the best feeling in the world, I gotta say. It is your most important match by far. I would go as far as saying that it is more important even than a YCS finals. I think it is such a unique event.
The amount of value that the community gives to the World Championship, I don't think there's anything that you can compare to it. It's such a special event, and it's such a prestigious thing to get to represent your region and your country at this event.
Really nothing that compares to it. Just the feeling in the air is so different. Like, these guys at least had the chance to have a similar field on Friday.
Yeah.
When you compete against very good players with such few rounds, it reminds of the World Championship, but honestly, it's not even close. Like, I can still feel the chills through my spine when I think back when I was in Tokyo competing for the most prestigious title that there is, honestly. And I think everyone should try and get a chance.
So the World Championship, last year we had the events for the World Championship that had the same format as you guys were playing over there. How does that affect deck building when you're going over?
It is definitely different. Luckily, the players do get the actual list a few weeks before, so you're able to prepare. In my case, I did it along with Joshua. We did most of our preparation together.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we had quite some polarized results because after the first 3 rounds, I was undefeated, and he actually didn't win a single match. But it is something that actually happened last year as well. Bodon Temnik was in a very good chance of actually winning the World Championship with Altergeist, and he built his deck card by card, the same with Ryan Levin, and also American, very good player.
Yeah.
And same thing, Bodon was undefeated throughout Swiss. Ryan Levin was the second to last in their entire event. So you can see that the World Championship is really a unique event.
It's such an amazing event. These guys are really gunning for it. We are ready to go, so we will go over to the players, and let's see who will get to Worlds. So Jake won the die roll and elected to let Adrian go first. This might seem unusual, and it can be dangerous against the Sky Striker player, but we do know that Adrian is playing Mystic Mine, and that is most likely what Jake is concerned about, right?
Absolutely, and you can see one of those cards that actually is quite unique in Jake deck. It is Nightmare Corruptor Ibli. The last time we saw this card was probably last year, but it was in Goki. Here it is used just as a 1-card Orcust combo, and in this matchup it is actually quite nice because you can give it to your opponent, and that way they will have a monster in the main monster zone, locking the spells. So
yeah. We see Engage being blocked by the Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Not how you want to start
this is
your
gonna
turn.
hurt a lot for Adrian. So the Ash Blossom, a very bold move by Jake, but he recognizes that Adrian's chances of having a Ray or something else on top of it are low, and he actually completely stopped his opponent.
And this is the danger here in this matchup for the Sky Striker player, because going second against Orcust, the deck is able to establish a lot of damage. Jake is aiming to end the game this turn, and Adrian is going to have to rely on the 2 set cards and whatever he has in his hand.
Absolutely, and to be honest, Jake looks like he can totally do this. We are gonna be able to see what Adrian had, but it seems like he drew like a jamming wave, and that's why Jake, something that we mentioned in the game against Jake and Joshua,
Yeah.
it was basically that these guys got VIP package for the European Championship. That meant they had 2 rounds buys, but they all sat very close to each other. They saw card by card what their opponent were playing throughout the weekend.
And
so
if you finish early, you're going to watch their games because you know that these are people that you are likely to play against in the later rounds of the tournament. We're going to see a Nightmare Phoenix coming down. Does Jake want to target a back row? He will. He gets to send the Orcust Nightmare to the graveyard. Adrian considers the Widow Anchor isn't doing anything
But this is the only card that was relevant from Adrian. The last stat is unfortunately the Afterburner, and this is gonna be quite the upfilling battle, I would say. As we were saying, Jake got to see what Adrian was playing, and Adrian even gave it away by saying that he didn't change a single card.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
He knows that Adrian actually wants to go second game 1. He has all of these cards that don't really do much going first. You can see Mystic Mine, Afterburner, Jamming Waves. What do they even do when you're actually going first?
This could be a problem for Jake. He is discarding the Instant Fusion to summon an Orcust Nightmare from his deck. Realistically here, because of the Ash Blossom, Adrian will be able to prevent the Harpar from being summoned by the Nightmare. That will cause a problem for Jake, which will lead to a situation where he would have preferred to have the Instant Fusion set up Winded in Girsu, potentially.
And we have to say something very important about Jake's deck. He's only playing 40 issue cards, only being, not that I'm crazy, but that we have seen a lot of Orcust playing with more than like 40, so 45 or even 60.
He had 60, exactly.
Yeah? But what I want to focus the attention on is that Jake is maining no outs at all to Mystic Mine. And do you know what's in Adrian and Mystic Mine? So
exactly. So Jake needs to get the Orcust counter trap card here, Orcust Crescendo, or else he will be locked out of this game, and Adrian will be able to draw until he finds enough pressure through Widow Anchors, engages, and multi-rolls to just end the game.
Yeah, luckily for him here, he might be able to go through it just because he will be able to set a Crescendo.
He can set the Crescendo, but he might fall into the trap of grabbing the Babel in order to be able to start progressing his
yeah, the only
Orcust
thing is
Nightmare.
that the Babel is already on the field because he have drawn it.
Yes,
so
it is.
it shouldn't really be an issue for Jake to search it. And at this point, it will all be a matter of can Jake actually not use his negations before? Because if Adrian resolves Mystic Mine, this game is completely over. There are no outs in Jake deck, just like there are no outs in the usual Thunder Dragon Sekka deck list. That's why you usually see games just where your opponent picks up their cards, because there is no reason to waste time, especially against Sky Striker.
Exactly.
They really like to go into time, as you guys must likely know.
Yeah, the deck performs a lot better in time than this Orcust deck does. Then Girsu coming down will be able to send the set spell from the field to the graveyard. There goes the Jamming Waves, which is very unfortunate because if Adrian had been able to keep it in his hand, he would have the point of interaction for that Crescendo.
So if Adrian did set it, this was gonna be very negative for him.
Normal summon Zibli. Special summon Phoenix, which points at Zibli.
Very nice play here from Jake. Even, did he not use his Nightmares though? That's what I was considering.
In what regard?
In the fact that he's locked under Darks, if he did. And
he used his...
We should check if it resolves, honestly.
Orcust Nightmare, right?
Yeah.
We are getting clarification.
Yeah, we're asking about it right now, just because we kind of missed what was going on before here, and our judges are just getting a clarification, but I think it was just because it was actually negated by Ash Blossom.
Yes.
So that might be the case, and...
Yeah, so Nightmare only places a restriction if it resolves. of course, being prevented by Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring stops that restriction as well. The Nightmare Corruptor Ibli could cause issues for Adrian because it means that Mystic Mine is now very difficult to establish. We see a Phantom Knight Fogblade, which will prevent Ibli from attacking, and he is locked out of the game now. This is really the sort of opening that Jake needed to see this game.
Okay, so now he's gonna give his opponent an Ibli, which is a very cool interaction, because once you search the Fogblade, you're gonna be able to flip the Fogblade on either your own monster or the Ibli. And if they're not playing a Nightmare Mermaid, which is not the case for Adrian, then they can't get it off their field.
He draws a Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, which is not the worst draw here, considering any of his Sky Striker spell cards are going to be invalid, with the exception of a multi-roll or perhaps an Area Zero.
Is he gonna be able to summon back... Ooh. What just happened here, though? I think he actually sent the wrong one here. This might be actually tragic for Jake. Oh my.
I think even with sending the card that he wasn't sure he wanted to send, he should still be in a commanding position here.
But what I'm thinking is...
Oh, he needs to get Skeleton so he can summon Galataeus.
Yeah, like sending the Arporer a huge slip up here from Jake. He definitely had to send the Symbol.
Yeah.
Let's see if this is enough for him. I mean, the Fogblade is still there, to be fair.
Yeah, Ibli attacks. She is stopped in her tracks by the Phantom Knight's Fogblade.
Jake really getting his nerves here. Like, you can't blame him. Like, he's playing again on Future. He just played against Joshua a couple of rounds ago, and that match was just crazy. If you guys missed it, go and watch it back once this event is over, because it was just a lot of emotions.
I mean, Jake has defeated one of the players going to represent us at the World Championship. Adrian has won the largest European regional this season. They both are trying their best to win here, and the nerves must be
Did we actually
so
see again Mystic Mine pass as we did previously with Prankids? I believe so. I think
That
he activated
seems
Mystic
questionable.
Mine. He just
to try and
passed.
force the crescendo, perhaps?
But there was no reason to use it, and Jake couldn't even use it in the first place because he wasn't controlling a link, and that's why sending the ARP was such unreasonable play.
Yeah.
Adrian has seen enough. He picks up his card, so Jake is the winner of game one. Very surprised by that, honestly. He didn't have a single out to Mystic Mine, but this was all due to the fact that Jake knew what his opponent was playing.
Exactly.
He won the dial, and he elected Adrian to start.
Yeah, and it was definitely the right play here. Adrian is on a list that wants to be going second. He's maining Pancratops, he's maining Ghost Ogres, he is maining his Mystic Mines, which are all great cards in this matchup, but don't do anything when going first. And he was unfortunate enough that his one piece of engine that he drew was stopped by the Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring on his first turn, preventing the engage from searching.
It was a little bit of a risky move from Jake, but I think it makes a lot of sense just because he saw that Adrian is maining a lot of useless cards for going first. He's also maining Pancratops. If you follow Adrian incredible season, you must know that he's been maining Pancratops for months now. He was playing Sky Striker, he switched to Salamangreat, and now again to Sky Striker, but throughout this month, the one consistent card that was all of in all of his decks was always Pancratops in the main, which is something that honestly we have not seen in anyone else's decks.
Yeah, I mean, Pancratops in the main was something that people were considering back in February, but with the rise of Mystic Mine, Pancratops definitely took a hit in popularity. Dinos are on the rise though, and I would not be surprised if we saw Pancratops becoming kind of back in vogue in the format, because it is really performing well this event, even though it did not manage to appear to help Adrian in
Absolutely,
this match.
and honestly, looking back at the game before it even begun, I was pretty positive that Adrian was gonna gain game one, but just because Jake wasn't maining any outs, now he doesn't cite a lot, but he does have Imperial Order and the full set of Twin Twisters. So I do think that this is going to get a lot more complicated now.
Yeah, exactly. And deciding in this sort of matchup is quite complex. Obviously, Adrian is going to be bringing in Artifact Lancias because, again, it's such a strong card against the Orcust deck. But these are the kind of decks that can play really long games. You guys are making sure to be very thorough with their shuffling.
Yes.
Making sure that everything
Having a
plays
very
out.
good preparation for the World Championship, where this is actually the way you should shuffle your deck before ending into your opponent, even though your sleeves are usually nicer because they are the one from the World Championship exclusively.
Those are very nice sleeves. We actually have the new season's World Championship qualifier sleeves at this event, right? Which are a very nice blue hexagonal design, which you can see if you go watch the matches from Friday, where both of these players were playing to try and qualify for Worlds. And here we go into game 2. These guys, the pressure on Adrian now.
Do you think Adrian is gonna go second here?
I mean, we see a Pancratops,
yes.
so we have to assume.
Even though in his decks he's always going first, but we're safe to assume he does. And the rest of his hand is not looking good, actually.
It looks like double multi-roll and a Metal Phase Fusion, or something similar.
And the Ash is really enough to completely stop the Orcust deck. It is really gonna depend on how good Jake Camp is. And he doesn't seem to be that bothered. I see an Ibli and a Nightmare, so that's already very good.
This is not good for Adrian Dursun.
Ibli being a fantastic card because, as we've seen in the previous duel, it is quite good against Mystic Mine, and it is also very good against Impermanence and Gamma.
For sure.
So
he is discarding the Orcust Nightmare. Getting to draw that is quite good here, because it means that interacting directly with the Mermaid does not achieve
did he draw
much.
2 Nightmares, actually? Or
I would hope not, because...
He did
Oh, wow.
draw 2, but wow, so this is a big save from Jake. If he was playing any regular Orcust, he opened double Orcust Nightmare, which is not something any other Orcust could have been able to get out of from.
Yeah.
But he's playing multiple copies of Ibli, so he can still play, but definitely good save here from Jake.
Yeah, and Ibli is a really interesting card in the Orcust deck. It very much fell out of favor with the archetype as we saw the rise of Salamangreat, because if you're going first in a blind matchup and you give your opponent an Ibli and then they make a Balinx using it, you are a very sad player at that point.
It isn't popular, but like we're seeing how good it is. Like Adrian couldn't even Ash the Mermaid just because you can chain block it with the Ibli. So maybe it is one of the reasons why Jake is the only Orcust player in the top 8. Because he's the only one we have seen playing triple Ibli in his deck. So
yeah. It's definitely something to consider if you are going to be playing Orcust in the near future.
So now Jake is actually going for Cerberus. So
this seems like an interesting decision. It's because he needs to clear his own Ibli off the field so that he can summon Symbol Skeleton from his deck.
But now the Ash Blossom come down on the ARP, still meaning that Adrian has a shot. And
Adrian is really fortunate here that the second Nightmare is stuck in Jake's hand, because if Jake were able to summon a Nightmare from his deck, he would be in a much better position here, because he would have a Nightmare in graveyard for the following turn.
Indeed. And now Adrian couldn't even summon the Pancratops, but luckily for him he does have the multi-roll. What can he pick up?
Area Zero and Metal Foes Fusion. Good friends. They go way back. He's activating the Area Zero before the multi-roll.
Nice pickup here from Adrian.
Targeting the Ibli, he manages to get the jamming waves off the Area Zero, which is really nice because the double MST was looking quite distressing at first.
I mean, it is not one of the best cards, but it is definitely pretty good at this point. And now he has full access to whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
He can go Pancratops, he can go Ray afterwards. So pretty Good save as well from Adrian. It is looking like it is going to be a close one, but Adrian really playing it well. And now you can see another heads-up play from him. He sets the fusion, he popped it with his own jamming waves, and this way he will be able to actually set up for a 3 spells engage after he Ayates for it.
Yeah, this is interesting. I think there is a line where you Hayate first, because then when you jamming waves, you get to clear the Cerberus for free. Because jamming waves would send the Metal Foes fusion. You'd have the area 0, the jamming waves, or you would have the area 0, the Metal Foes fusion, and the engages that have been sent.
Yeah.
And then jamming waves, because it sees the Metal Foes fusion it sends, it would have been able to destroy the Cerberus. As it is, he'll be able to beat over the Cerberus, but he is after taking 100 points of damage when he could have done 1,500 damage.
I mean, I think there was also a pretty cool line where Adrian could have gone for a crash first, crashing into the Cerberus, but this shouldn't be an issue. It is still a very good position if you're Adrian, and as we were saying, he's able to go for both. Crashing the Ayate there, and
got a 200 life points lead. Not much. He needs to find a lot of pressure. He does want to get to a game 3 here on his own terms, most likely. So he will want to start applying a lot of pressure. He has got the double multi-roll engage, which is always a nice
yes, so
position.
now you can pick up both the Widow Anchor or the Shark Cannon. Incredible utility cards here. And even though Jake did L his Twin Twisters, which I think was a very good decision because it would have been blown out by the jamming waves, now he's still in a very tough spot. So,
yeah, I mean, on the plus side, he'll be able to punish the double multi-roll because he can clear both of them. But if he does this, then he will not be able to get rid of the interaction that the multi-rolls have set.
Mystic Mine is picked up, not really what he was looking for at this point, but
I mean, there's still an argument that sometimes you will just activate Mystic Mine here because it prevents the Orcust from going very wide.
Do not think that happens very often. Do you think he shouldn't actually shuffle back the fusion here? Or does he want to actually preserve... He might preserve the 3 spells in grave, which is probably better.
I mean, it's a question of what is fusion likely to draw. If it's likely to draw a spell that you can play, then you can shuffle it back. But clearly he is opting here not to do that. He's
also
going to search from Shizuku.
He doesn't get greedy with the Shizuku and multi-roll, which I think depends on the fact that we've seen Ghost Ogre coming back into the format, and Jake might have been signing those in. So
I like the idea of grabbing a Shark Cannon here because it gets to do kind of double duty where it's going to banish one of the monsters.
I
and
agree
then
as
it will
well,
be able
because
to...
here, honestly, if you get Twin Twister, then you don't have any other response. So
yeah, it's a very bare board, even though it does have a lot of cards.
I don't think
on
Jake
it.
is in that bad of a spot at this point. So
yeah, I mean, he gets to discard his Orcust monsters, which is what he wants to be doing. And Adrian just doesn't have interaction for this. Widow Anchor is going to be activated on the Shizuku.
he does activate it so that in the end phase he will be able to use the multi-roll. But we're going to have to see if there will be an end phase here, because Jake might try and push a lot of damage. He has the Cold Body Grave for the Ray, if he feels like it, but he will probably keep it in end just because there might be a Lancia from Dursun.
Yeah.
And I think he will be very happy to find out that there isn't. So
Here comes the Symbol Skeleton. He is going to be able to summon Galatea and start doing what the Orcust deck wants to be doing during this match.
yeah, he's finally getting to combo off a little bit, and I don't think he's gonna miss his chance.
Yeah.
Honestly, as you were saying, there was a line where Adrian was just going to be a little more greedy with his multi-rolls, especially since he had Chew in play. I think he was playing safely around the Ghost Ogre, but maybe there is a world in which Jake does not expect to go first and sides in evenly, so it was a close call, I would say.
I think based on the fact that, I mean, does he know whether or not Jake has evenly is a question.
I mean, it's probably not guaranteed, but I don't think we've seen a lot of evenly in the Orcust deck just because it is not good at all against Lancia. Like, you lose to Lancia if you side evenly while playing Orcust, you lose to Lancia even more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think realistically here, Adrian's line, it does give him access to the engage, but he could have just searched a piece of interaction and just hoped for the multi-rolls to still be up on the following turn, or during this turn, so that in end phase he could set the engage from his graveyard instead. Because now he is going to end up with only one engage, which is going to have to contest a Orcust Crescendo if he even survives this turn.
So, tough spot, absolutely. And he does know, as you were saying, that there is an engage. We know that there is even more threatening cards in his hand, being Pancratops and Mystic Mine, so...
Yeah, if Adrian survives this turn, he's in an excellent position. But he is in danger here. We see Called by the Grave coming down on Sky Striker Ace Ray, but...
It doesn't matter that much, I would say. So
yeah, exactly. Because Adrian is going to be able to set the Widow Anchor, he is going to have a very disruptive turn in the upcoming turn. He will have to deal with the Orchestrated Babel, allowing all of these Orcust monsters to really start doing a lot of work during his turn.
It is a big problem because he has both the multi-roll here. So when it's just one, then it's good enough. You can focus your attention on clearing the one off the field. If there are two, it gets out of hand very fast, I'd say.
Yeah, exactly, because normally you want to be able to Twin Twisters and clear the multi-roll and the card it's most recently set. But in this scenario, you can only clear one of the multi-rolls plus it's set, or you can clear both multi-rolls and just let your opponent keep both of the cards that they've set.
Yeah, and this is where Adrian experience really put in. He used the Anchor on his own master, so he will be able to get it back. And if you're Jake, you gotta keep attention to the clock. There are about 17 minutes left. You really don't want to enter game 3 close to time, because we said it multiple times. We have seen it multiple times, to be fair. Sky Striker is very good at dealing damage.
For sure, and this Shark Cannon pickup is really nice. Such a good card in this matchup. Jake does not have Orcust Crescendo here, so the Sky Striker Mobilize Engage will be resolving. Jake is going to chain in order to attempt to save the Dingirsu from Shark Cannon.
Yeah, the Shark Cannon.
Gonna get punished by the excellent top deck from Adrian Dursun, most likely.
He's thinking about it, but at the end of the day, it is what he most likely wants to hit.
I don't think there's a better hit for you here.
It seems like he's allowing it, actually.
Interesting.
Very interesting here.
It's very odd, because I would often take the Dingirsu here to be able to break Jake's board a bit, and then you can just multi-roll it away.
It is very odd. I would say that it does not matter that much at the end of the day, because as you can see, even though Adrian already used this one copy of Kagari, he has so many resources at his disposal, and even worst case scenario, if this goes wrong, and I don't see how, he has the Mystic Mind, so...
Yeah, he also has the Pancratops, and it looks like he might have just picked up another Shark Cannon.
Which is pretty good still. Like, there are...
I mean, I will quite happily have Shark Cannons all day.
Yeah.
They will allow him to put a lot of damage on the board. There's a Galatea in the graveyard, which means he can climb into a Link 4 if he would like.
He could also go for a Dingirsu of his own, which I don't think he is playing, but we have seen in quite a few Sky Striker. It is quite a nice addition. Just because you have Shark Cannon and Widow Anchor, you can steal so many of your opponent monsters that it does make sense to play some targets for the most popular matchups out there. Just like similarly to how you used Gaia back in the past if you were playing like Mind Control or Big Gaia, I would say.
Yeah, Gaia Charger, the Xyz monster, was very popular for quite a while, and with Sky Striker Mecha Widow Anchor and Crackdown, we've definitely seen decks playing some
Ooh,
similar
but
strategies.
here the Lancia is picked up by Adrian, which is pretty much the nail in the coffin, as I like to mention usually. And
Yes. Yeah, I mean, this hand has gone from rocky to just bonkers. There's a Pankratops, there's going to be a Shizuku backing it up, most likely. See the Hayate coming down?
Yes. Do you really think it makes sense for Jake to keep playing in this game? Like, time is really an issue in this matchup.
Time is very scary for Jake here because, as we keep saying, Sky Striker is so favored when games are in position.
Yeah, Galatea was actually linked, and it shouldn't be
That could be a
destroyed
mistake from Dursun, and it could cost him because this means that the counter trap card here is still live. Adrian is going to attack directly with Hayate. On the plus side, he is going to get so much value from these two multi-rolls in the end phase that the Orcust crescendo might not even matter. What are you thinking about these two shark cannons here?
I'm thinking I like them quite a bit. Like, the beauty of the card is that you can use it both offensively to really basically rank up your Link summons. You can make, I think, Border Sword and Topologic Bomber Dragon very easily with it. But at the same time, it is such a good card against like Pankratops. So in this case,
he is going to clear his own Hayate. Here comes Mystic Mine. Do you have access to Twin Twisters or Imperial Order? Because otherwise, you are not going to get to play the rest of this game.
yeah, a little bit of a shaky turn here from Adrian, I gotta admit. Like, from all of the resources that he had, I'm pretty sure he could have completely been able to clear Jake's entire field, set up his own, banish everything. So maybe Jake was right that he didn't need to scoop. If he could pick up Imperial Order, this would actually be sick.
Imperial Order would be backbreaking here. Adrian is in a position where, specifically on this turn, he will not be able to find space to play
He does
through the
throw
Imperial
the Ash, and as you were mentioning, the only outs to the Mystic Mine in Jake's decks are one Imperial Order and triple Twin Twisters. He already used one of the Twisters.
Yep.
So there are only 3 outs at the moment in his deck, so there is not much he can do about this at the moment.
And you've got to be sweating here because not only are you in an unfavored position here, but again, like we keep saying, he needs to be careful about the clock because of the matchup.
Absolutely, and that's why I'm very surprised that he's still trying. I think if you want to try in this game, you know that you got to get one of the 3 outs. So you should be very fast with your turns just because that's the only way you can win.
Yeah, exactly. You can simplify your board down to 1 monster, but if you don't have a way to clear yourself to 0, you do just want to be in draw-go mode where you just say draw, go, and if you get it soon, then you're good. Otherwise, you need to be moving on to game 3. You will get to choose to go first or second, whichever you prefer in the scenario, and you can really try to make sure and shut down your opponent before they get going.
So when do you think is the time that Adrian pulls the trigger here? Do you feel he has a need to do anything, or is it just okay to chill in here, wait for his opponent to actually activate something?
I think he can chill on the most part. He is going to get to send his Metal Foes Fusion from deck to graveyard here. He will get to resolve and engage to draw a card. Once he is happy that he has enough resources, he has access to a Widow Anchor, he has access to a Shark Cannon. Both of these are quite nice. Ash Blossom trying to be activated, but that is an illegal activation.
Yeah,
Jake
he
is
cannot
after forgetting
use the Ash Blossom because of the Ash of the Mine, as you're saying, so...
And he needs to be careful about these things. You can't just freely use cards without considering them.
And I think here they are giving him a warning, and our judge is gonna check if there were previous warnings from this event.
Exactly.
As we said, like yesterday when we had a similar situation, it shouldn't be the worst outcome regardless, because I don't really think Jake is winning this game regardless. So even if, unfortunately, our judge is gonna issue a game loss for Jake due to previous penalties, I don't think he is that worried about it. He just has to pay a lot of attention going into the next game, because then it would be a match lost.
Very importantly here, you can see the players are making sure to keep hydrated. That's very important in these long tournaments. I cannot stress how many people fatigue because they do not eat or drink enough during events. And it can be hard to find food during events. It is very busy, and generally when people are looking for food, everybody is, because it's in between rounds.
Yeah, I think we can go back to us for now while just they're checking. So yeah, as we were saying, they're just gonna check if Jake received the previous similar warnings.
Exactly.
If he did, he is gonna get most likely a game loss for his illegal activation of Ash Blossom, which will still end up going into a game 3. So.
Sure, exactly. And they have plenty of time for a game 3 still. Again, it's so important that you make sure that your activations are legal, because the Mystic Mind was clearly on the board there. And it is something that you forget about, especially Adrian is left-handed here, so he is playing with a left-handed layout, which is slightly difficult to normal.
Yeah.
As a left-handed player, it's so much nicer drawing with my left hand than my right hand.
Oh, yeah,
so I can totally appreciate it.
I can totally imagine that, and in this particular scenario, maybe, and I am about to actually say a bold statement, the game loss could actually favor him, just because he wasn't scooping up, and it might actually be better for him to go to a game 3
We're
sooner.
doing what's best for you.
Anyway, we are back with the game, so let's just go back to the table. In the end, there were no previous penalties for Jake, so it is just a warning.
Yeah.
Back
So,
to action.
Engage has been resolved. Adrian has searched a striker card as well as drawing an extra card. He's going to draw another card off Metal Phase Fusion, and this is really the joy of playing Sky Striker. It's playing lots of spells and drawing lots of cards. It looks like he has a Hornet Drones and a Shark Cannon. This is the sort of stuff that I see. Oh, that's always unfortunate. But Hornet Drones and Shark Cannon are the sort of things that I expect when you are aiming to start building a board up in Striker. Alternatively, he can go for the more passive plays where he establishes a monster with one of his lovely custom tokens from the events. Shoutouts to the token booth.
Shoutouts to the token booth. It is always one of the most popular attraction at events. The line is actually still unbelievably long, almost reminding us of the huge line we had on Saturday for registration.
Exactly.
Still reminding us that there were 1,900 players walking into this event. Now we have the final 8, so we really want to find out who is going to the World Championship in Berlin.
Not only is this the final 8, but this is the most crucial round for these players, because only one of these guys is going to be representing Europe at the World Championship.
Yeah, for now we do have 2 Germans and Rafael and Evan from the Netherlands, so a local, we could say,
Yes,
locked
exactly.
in for the World Championship. And we're about to find out if we're gonna have at least a 3rd German or one of the UK players. I was about to say one of yours, but you're actually Irish, of course. But I guess it is still.
I spent a lot of time at UK events for sure.
Yes, exactly. We can say you are very familiar with all of the community right there.
Exactly. And I'm sure the UK players at home are very excited to see if Jake can pull this through. He is most certainly a staple of events over there, as I'm sure Adrian is in Germany.
Yeah, and I think it has been a while. Of course, we had some players going to do the nature of the world point system. Last year we have Darren Stevenson, and the year before, together with me, it was JY Sharif. But Jake has seen enough. He picks up his cards. A nice round of applause here from our crowd as we are approaching the last game of top 8, who is gonna decide who will advance to the World Championship.
Exactly. This is potentially the most important game in these players' careers. It all comes down to this.
Yeah. You can see a very nice crowd in the In front of us, one of them I can recognize is Eugen Ait, a former European champion. So,
do you think Ollie ever considers running an aquarium? You know, when they do the seal shows and they throw the fish out, because
Oliver is very good at handling crowds, and you can see he's hyping them up.
Yeah, I mean, we have so many people here in the crowd. Lots of Germans, lots of UK players, really supporting their players in their attempt to reach the World Championship. And there are packs flying everywhere.
Here. Quite the entertainment show at the moment.
Exactly.
Our players are getting their side decks, and in the meantime, Oliver is just entertaining our crowd and everyone back at home.
I mean, everyone back at home gets to see the tournament as we see it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And
I mean, great turnout, and this really shows the community spirit at these European events. Look at all these fantastic people here watching the event, cheering on, getting involved. You know, the tournament is over for most of these people, but they're still here to support players and wave at the camera so they can see themselves.
I mean, everyone wants to know what the European team will look like. Everyone wants to know what the European champion will look like.
Exactly.
So we still have a lot of things to discover, and as our players are getting ready for the third game, there are about 5 minutes left, which is a huge deal here.
Yeah.
I think Jake could have scooped a lot sooner. I'm not sure if this will actually come back to cost him the match.
We're going to have to find out. And 5 minutes to close out a game is not a position you want to be in. Obviously, the Orcust deck can apply a lot of damage, but at the same time, it takes a lot of time to do its turn one plays often.
That's why we might just see Jake going second again.
Yeah.
And if Adrian isn't able to get things going on, he's going to be in trouble. He really needs to pull off Kana. So we'll see.
Yeah, so that's the problem, is it's dangerous to let the Sky Striker player go first here, because if he does get to summon Kana and gain life points before you can enter battle phase, then that can shut down the game. People in the chat reminding us of the Dogwood for game that we saw yesterday.
It was such a blowout. We saw it with Samir, also a former European champion. But now our final, like one of these guys' final hand for the weekend is being picked up. So we will see how those will look like. So definitely excited about this.
Yeah.
So since we really don't want to waste unnecessary time, we're going to actually freeze the clock for you guys and for our players so that they can shuffle back and get a couple of minutes of extension. We didn't really focus on the game since we're having our little show with the crowd, but they were taking a little bit too much time, so the clock is set back at 7 minutes. I think
plenty of time for a game tree.
Yeah. It is fair to both players, so now we're actually going to see this last game, who is going to the World Championship. Place your bets, I'd say, and let's see who takes this down.
So much pressure here. I mean, I can't imagine what is going through these players' heads. They have tried to qualify on the Friday. They lost out there, and here they are again, one game away.
All hope was lost for them, but actually they hang on in there. They fought their way through 11 rounds of Swiss and top 64, and they're here once more to get a chance to go to the World Championship.
Adrian opens, he is going to activate multi-roll, and he most likely has to resolve its effect to guarantee the engage goes true. He does have the Mystical Space Typhoon, so he can grab Area 0 if he wants to try and generate extra value. But he is going to go for the safe play of grabbing the Sky Striker Ace Ray. He will be able to get a Shizuku search in the end phase if he wants. Set up with a set of engages ready to go, but it's
very good opening hand here. Effect Veiler is on Jake End, which we will most likely see either here on the Shizuku. I believe we will see it here. Let's see. It is coming down. And actually, Adrian lines up very well against Jake's, just because the Mystical Space Typhoon, a card that usually you want to see going second, is so good at dealing with the light stage. So, very good spot at the moment for Adrian. Let's see if there is enough time for Jake to push damage and then end the game, or if Adrian is going to have another turn to actually just have so much advantage.
Again, Adrian decides to save the Shizuku search until after the multi-roll. I don't know how I feel about this. Grabbing the Shark Cannon would have locked this game up because he would have been able to banish the Effect Veiler and then have it as backup for the Orcust Nightmare.
It is definitely a very bold move here, and Jake actually draws into the Cloak. Not one of the best draws, and I think the Mystical Space Typhoon here is gonna be huge from Adrian.
For sure.
Yes, crowd reaction, you can hear it from here.
Jake does have his Sky Striker mobilized and engaged. He will be able to grab Hornet drones, and then he will be able to gain access to Nightmare Phoenix or Nightmare Cerberus, and then into the Nightmare Mermaid.
This game is far from over, but there are 2 Widow Anchors in Adrian's field, and at the moment he has 2 spells in his graveyard, so
the best play here for Adrian is to Widow Anchor his own Shizuku, and using the copy of Widow Anchor that was not set off multi-roll, and then use the copy that was to gain control of one of Jake's monsters, and that will just lock him out when he tries to do his Orcust.
Yeah, that's
combos.
why, as you were saying, Adrian might have been a little greedier, and I think, like, with so few minutes left on the clock, I'm very surprised about this. He could have gone for a Share Cannon, which would have completely sealed this game. Now he's taking a chance, still looking very good, I gotta say. I would probably rather be in his spot, but we'll see. This game is definitely far from over. And
for sure. So he is targeting the Widow Anchor, and that is the one set by multi-roll, and Adrian is in an awkward position now. He will be able to stop the Mermaid if he wants, but there's already going to be the Orcust Nightmare in the graveyard, which will allow
but he actually discards.
He already sent
he
the
sent
Nightmare
for the Phoenix, and that's why, as you were saying, even having the Babel there, it means that he could have tried and played around the Share Cannon from Adrian.
Yeah, for sure.
But this is close. It is actually going to be as close as one of the previous games we've seen this weekend. Every time it was a back and forth, especially on Friday. We had 3 days of absurd level of plays from these guys, and they're here, and it's all in or nothing, really.
Yeah. I mean, Jake is definitely in the commanding position here. He is getting to go through his Orcust cards. He will be able to set up an Orcust Crescendo, if I'm not mistaken, and that will be quite strong. Where are you going to Widow Anchor here if you are Adrian?
You really have to be careful with it. I think there are, as you can see, there are only about 2 minutes and a little more on the clock, so you want to be sure that you're not taking damage. So I think you can really roll the Widow Anchor and just use it on whatever is going to try and force your damage, really. Like, for example, if he goes for a Dingirsu here, trying to force both cards from Adrian, then that's the best way to use it.
Adrian currently has 2 spell cards in his graveyard. He has a Widow Anchor and an Engage. No, he does not have a Widow Anchor. He has an Engage and a Mystical Space Typhoon. So he needs to get one more.
I'm pretty sure he has only two spells in grave. Like 3 could have been a lot more of a blowout, but this can change things. So yeah, having only 2 in graveyard is actually quite relevant here, because then Jake can pop 2 cards with it, and let's see if Adrian decides to use his last resource. Yeah, he is forced to, and wow, this is going to be actually very close.
It is going to be a very tough game for Adrian to hold off here. He will have his multi-roll effect in the end phase, which will allow him a little bit of reload. But
this is coming down to the wire, really.
Exactly.
Like, there's only a minute left. We're seeing something very similar to what we saw in the matchup against Joshua Smith, where now he's gonna go for Kaina or potentially stopping one of their attacks, but now damage is still gonna go through, and it seems like Jake still has enough time to pull this off in main phase 2. He can banish his boots, possibly getting either a Brigadine or a Fog Blade. Let's see what he wants to do from here.
Dursun is really not looking happy here. He needs to be able to find over 1,000 points of damage on his turn. He will need to be able to draw.
This is gonna be so close. We know that there is a Fog Blade there, the Crescendo, which is not that good at the moment, but the Brigadine is gonna be able to be flipped. Oh my, this is as close as it gets. Are we gonna see an end phase here? It seems like it, so end phase from Jake. We have so few seconds here. If the clock is right, this is actually gonna be as closer as the Jake versus Joshua game.
Standby.
Is it actually timeout? Oh, it is.
He is in main phase.
And yes, he is in main phase, but he's under 1,000 life points. I think Adrian is asking for clarification, and Jake comes down. Jake Quinsee is the winner, and he will be going to the World Championship.
Representing the UK, representing Europe, Jake is going. He has gotten there with Orcust, having played Thunder Dragon yesterday or on Friday. He missed out on his chance. He played here, top 64, ended up against Joshua Smith, who had already qualified, one of the titans of European Yu-Gi-Oh! And then again here in top 8, he ends up playing against Adrian Dursun, one of the top German players as well.
What a story, what a story. Let's quickly go back to us for the post-match discussion. I am again shocked. I can't keep all of my emotions. Like, we're seeing so many crazy matches throughout this weekend. The last 3 have been incredible, down to the wire. Like the last match we have seen Jake in, as you were saying, it was against Joshua Smith.
Exactly.
And it was
one of the all-time greats of European Yu-Gi-Oh! And Jake was able to take that game just in time. And again, here we see it came down to the wire. Adrian made 1 or 2 plays which could have been questionable, but he was playing well, and it just wasn't enough for him to seal this game 3.
Absolutely. I think it was quite a back and forth match. In game 1, it was really decided by Jake knowledge, I would say. Since they were sitting next to each other for the entire event, Jake knew what was going on. He knew that Adrian was playing the same deck as Friday. He let him start, and this is the only reason why Jake won game 1.
For sure. I mean, traditionally, the Orcust player is always going to decide to go first because they want to set up their combo. If you're going second into a deck blind and they're playing Thunder Dragons, your Orcust deck is just super ineffective. But with that knowledge, he used it well. He played it well. And that means that Jake Quinsee will be representing the UK at the European Championship.
It is absolutely going to be a huge story. I have to say that both really gave their heart and soul. They have been playing so fantastic their entire season. I'm actually heartbroken on a side for Adrian. I really want to say congrats to you for getting this far. You had an incredible season, traveled a lot of events, even went to the French Nationals, which was one of the biggest, and he went undefeated.
The largest nationals.
And he was the only one undefeated after Swiss, so fantastic season by Adrian. It is just that we have so few slots for the World Championship.
Exactly.
We get an extra one than usual, as we were saying, and it is still really good enough. We wish in a different world that they were playing in different brackets and that Adrian also could have made it, but this is still Yu-Gi-Oh! Jake is the winner. He's gonna go after, I think, 10 years of playing Yu-Gi-Oh! At least to the World Championship. I'm very, very curious to see what he's feeling like.
It's important to note, though, that the story doesn't end here. Just because he's qualified for Worlds does not mean that he is not gunning to be this year's European champion.
Yes, and as we were saying, in the end, it was such a close match. There were a lot of close matches for him. On his way, he had to play around against 2 of the best players. He had to play around 2 of the top 8 players, one being Joshua Smith, one being Adrian Dursun. He won against both. I would say he probably deserves this spot at this point. And who else can tell us what he's feeling if not the man itself? Oliver is ready with Jake. let's hear what he has to say about this.
Welcome back on the main event stage. We've already started having a nice chat. Congratulations again.
Thanks.
Jay, Quinsee, you did it, and I have to say you absolutely earned it. I mean, you've had such a fantastic season, made it to the playoff on Friday. I know all of your faces when you lost on Friday was completely devastated.
Yeah.
Second chance around, and now you won. Have you realized what's happened? You're going to Worlds.
It's so surreal. It's been a goal of mine since I played the game. I'm sure it's an ambitious goal for everyone else.
Marcello actually said, yeah, you've been playing for at least 10 years. How long have you had this goal?
Well, ever since in 07, I saw the world champion, an Italian one actually, and it had the trophy. And that really got me into the game. I was like, I really want a trophy like that one day. And then I started playing locals in Sheffield and around the UK.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I picked up a passion for it. And then on and off over the 10 years, I've been playing back and forth. And then, yeah, I've just, since the beginning really, I've always wanted to go to Worlds. It's crazy because I came so close last year in Euros. Yeah. I finished 5th in the main event. And now on the Friday I lost in the playoff, but I lost to a player who deserved to go as well. And then I bricked, which things happen like that, and I didn't want to win by the end of procedure areas, and then now we're here. I can't believe it. It's crazy.
Obviously, it's been a very, very long weekend for you. I think if you end up at home and you're thinking about this tournament, there's just going to be so many things going through your head. Thinking back of like round 5 or something where you're like, oh, there I was in timeout. This could have gone the other way. And then there's another round where you're like, oh, against Joshua Schmidt, 1 second made all the difference and things like that. So I think it's going to take a few days until you really got it done.
So.
But I can tell there are some friends of yours who already went like, yeah, you did it. And I think they're going to help you settle in. So now whatever happens next doesn't really matter, or do you want to win the European Championship?
Well, a good friend of mine won it last year, and I want to bring the title back to the UK. Unfortunately, it didn't come at this weekend. So yeah, I'd love to be European champion and then world champion. That would be a crazy ambition of mine to have. Yeah. So hopefully that works out.
All right. Well, that's it for now. Thank you so much again. Good luck in your upcoming match, guys. We're going to be back very, very soon because, of course, the other matches are finished before us. Then we're going to be back with the semi-finals at the European Championship. We're going to have 2 players that are going to be smiling from one side of their face to the other. And even if one guy loses in the semi-finals, he's not going to be too mad. That's usually what happens at this event. So guys, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. See you very, very